Everyone, we reconvene into open session for the budget hearing for the Amery School District. And with that, we will have the reading of our budget.
And Char will be doing that.
Yeah,
She's fishing it up right now.
I know. I'm waiting for it.
Just give me a second. I got a lot to write down. Okay.
You're supposed to stall a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know whether there ain't much here to stall with.
He's killing me tonight. It's working me overtime. Hi, I'm Char Glenna. I am the treasurer for the Amery Board of Education, and I will be reading the 2020-2021 budget review is laid out and set forth for me from Andrew Deeb. The 2020-2021 School District of Amery Fund 10 operating budget will total $21,348,935 compared to the 2019-2020 unaudited expenditures of $21,246,615. This is a budget increase of $102,320, or a 0.49% increase. The levy, or property tax for operation, Fund 10, for 2019-2020 was $7,770,548. The 2020-2021 property tax levy for operations will be approximately $7,812,914. This is an increase of $42,366, or 0.55%. This budget forecast includes a key change from previous years. The energy efficiency exemption provision is expired by the state of Wisconsin after the 2019-2020 school year. Another change from previous budgets is that the district will not need to levy for referendum debt retirement in school year 2020-2021. The reason for this is that in previous years, the district set aside additional funds to pay future referendum debt beginning in 2020-2021. As a result, only $175,261 will be budgeted for unfunded debt in the 2020-2021 budget year. For comparison, the total debt in 2019-2020 fiscal year was $1,011,404. It is anticipated that state aid to the district for 2020-2021 will decrease by $133,346, or 1.4%. As you are aware, the 2020-2021 district budget will change before it is finalized. Certification of our equalized valuation from the state and the third Friday student enrollment count will affect our revenue limit and therefore change the budget proposed here. This year, the estimated equalization value of all property located within the school district of Amery is $1,075,828,859. This represents an increase of approximately 7% from last year. Based on these estimates, the generated mill rate will be 7.52 compared to 8.93 last year, a decrease of 1.41. Based on these projections, the school portion of taxes on a $100,000 property will decrease by approximately $141.
Thank you, Char.
Thanks.
That's the reading of our proposed budget. I'll take a motion to adjourn the budget hearing.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting's adjourned. I'd like to call to order the annual meeting now of the Emory Board of Education. The first job is the appointment of a chairperson for this meeting.
I'd nominate Keith Anderson.
Well, you don't nominate, you just,
Or what do I do?
Well, you get
Appoint?
to just appoint.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
an appointment, so,
Yeah, you get to appoint. You're the
Well,
chair.
right. So if
I would
that's,
appoint you.
okay. I kind of felt that was going to happen.
You gonna
Good.
appoint yourself then?
What's that?
Are you going to appoint yourself then?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll get along with this. Appointment of teller, I would say Becky Schmidt. And the consent agenda items, Sean, are you there for that, for the annual meeting?
Well, we have to approve the minutes. You see
Yep.
there, letter 8. In A, the minutes are in the packet that you received on page 5 from September 16 of 2019.
Page 6 is the annual meeting.
Oh, page
6,
6,
5.
you are correct.
Yep.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the official annual meeting from September 16th, 2019.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Dale? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Okay, so we've approved the minutes. The treasurer's report.
On page 7, Andy's going to walk through some highlights on the treasurer's report, so if you're following along, page 7 is where you should be.
Sure, good evening. The first thing I wanted to point out is our Fund 10. If you look at that column there, we will have an increase to our fund balance of $38,552.60. So we did have a positive year and contributed to the fund balance. Going down the line, we have the other funds all also will have fund balances that we have in them of varying degrees. The one I wanted to point out especially is going to be the Fund 85 or Fund 80 fund balance that makes up our community service, our clubhouse, and so on in community ed. If you notice at the bottom here, there's a decrease in the fund balance of $135,300 some odd dollars. What that is in order to keep our clubhouse employed, we took on expenses of that amount that we're getting reimbursed for from the ESSER fund, which is federal funds towards the CARES Act. You've all heard of that, I'm sure. But we're not able to acquire those funds until actually just today, which is in the new school year. So that'll be offset. It's just an accounting snafu, for a better term, that we can't claim that in the same year as the expenses occurred. So hopefully this won't happen again. So hopefully this is a once in a lifetime thing that's happened with COVID. So
Yeah.
I wanted to point that out. So that's the big change that I didn't want that to go unnoticed. And if you had questions on that, I can take them. But that's basically, in a nutshell, the treasurer's report.
Is that also part of the reason for the 10,000 in food service and Fund 50?
Yes.
thing.
Basically, yeah, it did cost a little more to send prepackaged food home, and we also paid a premium for our employees to work when everyone else was home.
Yep.
You know, they had to come in and work those extra hours for that.
Okay.
Is that also going to be reimbursed or made up?
Not, well, we do get regular aid that all went under our summer food service program. Basically, that's where they pay it through. So we did get reimbursed for all those meals. We're not specifically getting that for reimbursing our, our salaries, but we do get aid for all that food that we sent home. So,
Okay. And a motion to accept the treasurer's report and Fund 73 report?
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no? Good. Then we'll go on to the income and expenditures.
all right, again, you'll see the pie charts in the next page there. Basically, what this points out is our revenues and the sources where they come from, as well as our expenditures below that. We are still positively state aided, which means we actually receive aid from the state. Some school districts are so, I won't say property rich, their valuations so high they actually do not get aid from the state. And across the state it varies, from no aid to 100% aided from the state. So that's what that shows. And then down below is just a breakout of our expenditures, and as expected, 65% is from salary and benefits. That makes up by far the most, the largest portion of our budget. Any questions on those two breakouts?
That should be it.
Yeah.
So then a motion to accept those income and expenditures reports?
I'll make a motion, we accept the 2019-2020 income and expenditures.
Second that.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's passed. So now we'll move on to,
Do we need to do Fund 73? It says Fund 73 report.
That's the treasurer's report.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
fund,
okay.
it's right underneath it.
yeah,
In
Is-
Fund, yeah, in Fund 73, there was nothing out of the ordinary for this year. I mean, it's, from year to year, we're usually getting the same yield each year for what our investments are, and I wouldn't expect that to change very much. We don't invest in really high-risk things for our retirement, so.
The resolutions we're about to go through are on page 15, if you're following along.
okay. And we can take motions for this from the audience also, not just
That
from
is
the
correct.
board members. So audience participation is encouraged if you'd like. And if you do that, please state your name so Becky knows who said it, although I think she recognizes everybody. But just raise your hand if you're going to make the motion so we can do that. So first resolution is for school board salaries to be at $3,000, and the district is authorized to reimburse members of the school board for actual and necessary expenses when traveling in the performance of duties. Is there a motion for that? All right. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right. Second is approval of the budget and tax levy. Be resolved that there shall be levied upon the taxable property of the school district of Amery the tentative sum of $8,092,175, and that is $7,812,914 levy for Fund 10 operations for the purpose of defraying the operation and maintenance of the public schools for the 2021 school year. The projected mill rate shall be 7.52. Do I have a motion for that? Second? Carol? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That's carried. Short-term loan authorization. This is for borrowing funds to meet the district expenses as expenses and revenues are changing and some come in late and we need to borrow money to keep the cash flow. So be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Amery be authorized to borrow up to $3 million in short-term loans during the 2021 school year for the purpose of meeting the immediate expenses of maintaining the schools for the district. Is there a motion? Brad? And a second?
I'll second it,
Jeff? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion's carried. Our policy on disposal of unwanted equipment and supplies. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Amery is authorized during the 2021 school year to sell and dispose of any tangible personal property belonging to the school district that is determined by the administration to be no longer needed for school purposes, provided that the maximum aggregate value of such tangible and personal property disposed of during the 2021 school year shall not exceed $7,000 value, as evidenced by an independent appraisal and/or competitive bids. Do I have a motion for that? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, the lease of school property resolution. Be it resolved that the school board of education of the school district of Amery may, in addition to any other authority, lease school sites, buildings, and equipment not needed for school purposes to any person for any lawful use at a reasonable rental. And that's under section 120.13, paragraph 25 of the Wisconsin statutes. Do I have a motion for that resolution? And a second.
Aaron Hosking?
Aaron? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's passed. Next is accident insurance for students. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Amery may provide for accident insurance covering students in the district, and that the cost and expenditures for said insurance is hereby authorized. And that's under section 40.3 through 19 of Wisconsin statutes. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved. Char?
Char? Second? I'll second it. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Transportation of public or private school students. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Amery be authorized to provide transportation to existing public and private school sites for all students residing within the School District of Amery. Do I have a motion for that? Jessica? And Cheryl, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. That's passed. Next is the annual meeting date. Be resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Amery be authorized to hold the 21-22 annual school district meeting on Monday, September 20th, 2021, and that's under section 120.08, paragraph 1 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Aaron Hosking.
Aaron, thank you. And a second? Jeff? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolutions have passed. Now I'll call for any other business to legally come before us to address. Is there anybody that's got anything that should come before the annual meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Shar, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Dale? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion's adjourned, or meeting's adjourned. Motion is there. All right. Now we'll go on to the next one. I'll call to order the regular board meeting of the Emory Board of Education here. And the first thing on the agenda is the consent agenda items, which Chelsea did.
Yep, she was in, and she gave us no concerns, so they are approved.
Okay? So I'll make, or you
Go
want to
ahead.
make the motion?
I'll move that the consent agenda items be approved since Chelsea thought that everything was in order.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Dale beat you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Is there anybody listed for community comments?
There was none.
None? Okay. Now we will go on to the administrative reports.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to start off, and I think I can speak on behalf of all the administrators when I tell you guys it has been an absolutely amazing start to the school year. Students, staff, transportation, cooks, everybody involved. We couldn't be more excited and more happy and more pleased to still be going full speed ahead. And if all goes well, we'll be there all year long. And I just cannot explain how much happiness is existing on this campus right now.
I don't want to steal Josh's thunder, but I will say I knew we were back to normal when I stopped to visit at the high school today at lunchtime, and we were having a conversation about a Packer victory and a Viking loss, and that was very exciting.
And all was well with the world.
All was back to normal.
Some things never change, Mr. Benson. All right. So starting that off, all of our sports teams are up and playing and functioning. We've got a soccer game going on our home field tonight. We've had every single sports team host. We've got a middle school cross country meet going on tomorrow. I would encourage people. We've been using the We Are Amery live feed. The soccer game was going on tonight. We've had people in our community that are stepping up and doing the broadcasting for those games. So I would encourage those that aren't able to get one of the limited tickets to attend. You can still support our teams by checking out everything that's going on, and we're really lucky to have that. And also, many of these things will also be broadcast on Amery Cable as well. So many ways to stay up to date on what our kids are doing. Just some building updates at the high school. The flooring and the trim work is finished. It looks beautiful. So when you do get a chance to go in there, it looks great. We've had some moderate events and some huge events here in the last month. Starting off with, we did have a successful freshman orientation day. Looked a little bit different, but we made it happen. We've done, of course, the traditional picture day for students. And then we've had some big events. We recently were able to complete the Miss Amery Talent Show coronation process. And then we had a huge event where Mr. Derek Meyer was crowned as the first ever Teacher of the Year for the School District of Amery. And what an awesome experience that was, and what a great honor for Derek. And for those of you that know him, there are few people in this world that work as hard as him, and when I talk about people fitting 36 hours into 24, that is every single day of Derek's life. So we're so happy and proud of him. Future events, because of some schedule changes and tweaks, homecoming was actually supposed to start this week, but we didn't think that that was very appropriate given the circumstances. So homecoming has been pushed back to the week of October 12th, and we're still working on what all the details will look like, but with the help of our students and our staff, we're going to do our best to make it a great week. So that's everything from the high school. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gould.
I'll second everything that Josh said. If you could have told me how well this was going to go, I was so excited, and I think we're all feeling the same way. The kids have just been amazing. The staff has been amazing, and it is so good to see them back and smiling and laughing and learning, and it's tremendous. Just like Josh said, we have a lot of sports going on tomorrow at the middle school. We have middle school cross country, volleyball, and football all at home. So parking is going to be a premium. I apologize to any of the parents trying to get out of there at that time at about 5 o'clock. It's going to be very busy. We have a lot of events going on too. I know district-wide we have parent-teacher conferences coming up. We've kind of made the decision that we're going to be doing virtual conferences with parents, and so that's brought additional challenges as far as the way to have a good quality conversation with all the different teachers, with the parents, and I'm sure that every building will be tackling that a little differently, and we'll get communication out on that soon. We have a great in-service coming up. I don't know if anyone else is going to talk about it, but we have a speaker coming in. We had a community group that's working with us and a teacher group, and we have a speaker coming in to talk about racial equity and how things work for schools. That should be pretty interesting. A lot of trainings coming up at the middle school right now. We have a student leadership team training. Peer tutors are being trained. Our peer mediators are being trained. So lots of fun things. And of course, our kids have all been going through our PBIS and expectations about how to operate school in a respectful, responsible, and safe way. And we have our first big Warrior Way celebration outside on Friday, so we're pretty excited for that. And yes, school did get kind of normal. We didn't sit and talk about football at our school. We talked about baseball and who clinched for the playoffs and who didn't, but we won't go into that.
Well played, Mr.
Yeah,
Benson.
thank you.
Nice try.
We had a great start as well, and kudos out to the kids and teachers, all staff. Just a couple of updates. We did our fall testing last week, all of our benchmark testing. We're going to, look and see where the kids are based on missing quite a bit of the spring and making sure that we catch kids up that need to be caught up. Also looking at that data, our teachers will create their SLOs, which are student learning objectives, and their PPGs, which is the professional goals. Help me, professional practice. Ooh, couldn't think of it. Practice goals. Thanks, Jeff. So we're busy doing that. A little update on our curriculum funds. This past year, the curriculum funds were spent in the area of art, music, family, consumer ed at both the middle school and high school, and business. All we need left to come in, we have a kiln for the middle school art department on schedule to arrive in December. We did have some of the high school art tables were delivered damaged, so we're waiting for some exchange on that, replaced. And then we have sewing machines that are still coming in, a little bit of COVID backup. I guess sewing machines were quite hard to get, so they'll be coming in October. Then taking this year to study and suggest new curriculum, the budget will be earmarked for reading language arts in grades 6 through 12. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Of course, I have to say that we are so excited to be back, as everybody else did, but it is so fun to see those little people walk in the doors and just, their eyes are bright. You can't see their smiles, but you can see their bright eyes, and they're so happy to be back. So very exciting. The elementary school is spending a lot of time outdoors. We love the school forest, and we also love the outdoor classroom, thanks to the parent volunteers that played a role in creating that amazing space. If you haven't had a chance to stop by outside the elementary school in the backyard, it is amazing. So again, thanks to our parent group. One of our biggest challenges this year that we actually conquered was our pickup. We had we pick up daily. We have families picking up approximately 150 kids every day. And to get our little 4-year-olds down to the pickup door on time so that we can all exit the building in a timely fashion took us a few days, but we are there and feeling very happy about it. And I think it's a safe process and one that families support. As was mentioned, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up. We are going to handle them in a different way this fall with either Zoom calls, telephone calls, or Google Meets, but we're looking forward to a new challenge to meet with our families. Besides saying that our kids are excited to be back, I have to send a huge kudos out to our families. I think they are so happy to have their kids back in school. They have been respectful, patient, thoughtful, kind. I can't give you enough synonyms to just say how excited we are that they're so supportive of us and our school district. So thank you to our parents for everything that you've done to support us. The last thing is, like orally, we did do benchmark testing last week, which was early for us. We wanted to see where our kiddos are at and how we can meet their needs. We did start with a new benchmark assessment. It's called Fastbridge. It is very popular. It was developed out of the University of Minnesota, and we are finding such beautiful things. Not only is the process for administering the assessment good, but it also gives us progress monitoring data and intervention data, and it just gives us the data in so much data we can't even fathom it right now because it's all new, but that's very exciting. And the elementary school is starting it this year, and it will grow into the intermediate and middle school next year. So we have a consistent K through 8 measure of our kids' progress. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. As far as People Services report, we've got a lot of positive feedback as well from staff. We just held our first all-staff meeting for special education, and it was really heartening to see the positive feedback we've gotten just from implementing the plan that we went with and seeing students interact with those on their caseloads again. So I'll just echo that. We're also talking about Fastbridge as special education. We'll be training and using Fastbridge, rolling that out to teachers K through 8. So that makes it a little challenging for us across a few different buildings. And I know that our case managers are squeezed for time in every direction, but we are continuing to move forward so that we're going to get the best benchmarking data so that we can show the progress that students are making. Another familiar survey throughout the time of year, you may remember the post-high school outcomes, but this is the time of year where we reach out to those graduates or those who've left from the school district of Amery, those 12th graders last year, and get back in touch with them. I don't know about you, but a call from my high school the year after I left is not the first call that I would return. So I'm very pleased to know that 10 out of 12 of those kids we've gotten a hold of right now. Wow. So we're going to keep working on getting the other two. This is important because really how our students are doing in the year after high school, graduating, whether they're employed, whether they're engaged in education, really is a measurement and a testament to what we're doing as a district to support these young people's transition into the world. And then finally, birth to 3 and early childhood programming. I just want to give you a snapshot in that parents are an integral part with these young learners that we have in our school district. And some of the limitations by COVID, as far as the visiting policy and having less people in the building, has made it challenging to deliver those services. So we've needed to get really creative by using technology, meeting with families outside of the school building, in the school forest, for example, on the playground, and just trying to build those relationships with our early childhood teachers, the student and parent, to establish that comfortability. So I just want to really give credit and thank you to our early childhood teacher, Teresa Haynes, and all those staff at Clubhouse who help assist with those relationships as well, for being creative. Thank you for caregivers and to parents that are working with us to be able to make those relationships happen. Questions? Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brad. Did you have anything?
We are on day number 14, and we are still in the green.
Yes.
That's my report.
I think everybody feels like they got rescued from a deserted island. And we're just
Sorta.
like feeling good. That's wonderful.
Yes, we are.
We'll move on now to our informational items, the Learning Model Transition Plan update.
Well, it is simple as that. We are in day number 14, and we are still in the green. As you'll see from the post that was sent out to all of our families and all of our staff as recently as the 15th, which was last Wednesday. We will continue every other Wednesday to send to families where we are. At this point, as of Monday, the 21st of September, we are still at 0% positive cases. Our growth rate in the county has typically been in the 20s and 30s. As you'll see from the next slide, it looks like we are trending upward, but we are actually not. That line went up to the mark of 39, and we actually trended back down into the low 30s. In order to move anywhere other than green, we have to have more than 15 cases in the district, or more than 100 or 150, depending on how many cases in the district we have, in order to move into the yellow. And we're hopeful never to have to entertain any of that, but we are in good shape thus far, and we're taking it one day at a time and doing what we said we were going to do in regards to our mitigation efforts. And I think all of our hard work, and there's been a lot of it from staff and from district leadership team and administrative team, is paying off. And I couldn't be prouder of the way our students and our staff and our parents have handled all of these changes, because there's been a lot. So we are still in the green, and hopefully that's where we stay.
Yeah.
Any questions about the Learning Model Transition Plan?
No, I've heard some other district members say they really like this format. Some staff from other districts wish they had this in their district, so they
It's
knew
actually
the directions.
been replicated in other areas within the state, including in the CISA. We are one of the very few in the CISA that actually have a metric by which to use. I'm not interested in being the guy on Saturday afternoon that has to make the call all by myself with no reasons, or have you do that either. Now we can at least look at the numbers and say, this is where we're at, this is why we did it, and everyone will be completely in the know as to how it happened.
Yep.
So it's been a good thing.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
The other next is you again with remote learning staffing considerations.
So in worst case scenario, if we ended up moving not to yellow but all the way into red, we would be in a remote model, which if you look at the screen, you'll see the options that exist. If we were in a remote model of red, the considerations for certified staff at all 4 buildings, they would report to school to instruct. What that instruction would look like would depend on the building, obviously. So we have certified staff that would be reporting. In the considerations that we're talking about here, again, this is not an action item, but rather an informational item, is for us to talk about what would occur with all of our other employee groups, because it makes perfect sense for our certified staff, our teachers, to report and be paid as such for reporting to work. But if you look at our other employee groups, and there is a list of them on the next slide, our paras, our school nutrition staff, our custodians, our clubhouse, and our bus drivers, this as it stands would be nothing more than a recommendation as to what we would do with those groups. And it's a matter of you, whether you want to have conversation about that or give me direction as to what you want to do about that. I could bring you furlough language. I could bring you cost estimates for paying them as if they're here. we can talk unemployment, we can talk all of the scenarios that exist and could possibly occur. Again, plans that we hope never to have to use, but we have to be ready in case it happens, because it could. So this is what we have each of our groups doing. Paras would be assisting certified staff with instruction and support, and also providing child care for children of staff. We have 66 kids that have been declared by their parent as needing care if we went to a remote model. And as of this morning, I have, I believe, 34 paras that are interested in providing care. That might be more than we need, but it's better than not having enough. So that's what paras would be earmarked to do. School nutrition staff, prepare and provide meals for families. If we go to a remote model, we're still feeding our families. So they would be in to do that, and that will be no small undertaking because it won't be just 300 or 400, it would probably be much more than that. Custodians, maintain cleaning on all 4 buildings. We would need a reduced number of custodians, and in truth, we might need a reduced number of paras as well if we have 66 and 34 for our numbers. So custodians, that would be what they would be doing. Clubhouse staff, work in child care program if clubhouse is open. If we're closed, potentially be furloughed. And bus drivers, potentially be furloughed, because we wouldn't be driving buses to pick anyone up if we were in a remote situation. These are, again, recommendations, and no action is required of you here this evening. I'll be bringing back whatever you want me to bring back in October. So I'm going to turn it over to you if you have any questions or comments that you want to make.
So it would, with the custodians and the paraeducators, the extra ones, more the ones that we would not need, would we furlough them as well?
That's an option, yes.
Okay. How would we go about choosing?
Well, I think the first thing we would need to do is figure out what the workload is, and then at that point determine how many staff you need to complete that workload, and then see what your overage or your underage is at that point. I couldn't begin to tell you that right now. And please know that there are differences between a furlough and simply declaring someone's not working here any longer and needs to go on unemployment. There's all sorts of benefits questions, salary questions. Those are policy-related items. So it's going to take us October and November to get that done, to get that in place. And again, hopefully we never use it, but it could happen.
Yeah, I guess I would like to see who would be eligible for unemployment and what their benefits would look like, and
Sure.
Just basically the financial information, the impact to those people before we make a plan of who would, and then if there is some equal, if the pay is equal or right around the same, people may voluntarily take the cut and go on unemployment instead of, doing the work.
Right.
Some may want to, depending on what we find out, and
What's-
get our numbers down.
What staff are asking for right now is simply more information. You're asking for the same thing,
Yeah.
and I'm interested in that as well. So we'll gather that information and provide to all the parties that are, involved. They want that answer now, and I said, we simply don't have it right now.
Right.
And they understand that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a huge task on our business office to get all that stuff
will.
together, so, thank you for challenge to get that ready for us. Last year, we were totally unprepared for this to happen, and so we did the right thing and made sure that people got paid, and this year we have time to plan, so.
We had 48 hours last time. That wasn't a lot of time.
The other thing I would like to see is, if we, based on the load or the number of cases in the county, if we move to, even 10 in our district, we would move to a hybrid model. So I would like to see how the hybrid model would work, because potentially that would be where we would go first. So
Right.
does that mean we have to, if paras are helping one group on Monday, Tuesday, and another group on Wednesday, Thursday, do we not need as many paras?
Well, this would be our third conversation tomorrow about hybrid. Administrative team is talking about it again. And what we told parents last week is we would tell them this week what hybrid looks like. So we will do as we said, and we're going to send that to them on Friday.
Okay. But I guess, yeah, also how that would work with the staff, with staffing.
Right. What does that look like?
Right.
And
do
we
need
have,
to- And do we need to furlough or have that option of furloughing?
we probably wouldn't in a hybrid because it would be easier to have contact with everyone, whether that's 5 days a week or 2 sets of 2. it would be easier. In remote, it's just hard to say that everyone will be all hands on deck, as their kids wouldn't be here.
Right.
So it looks harder, and in the red, it would make more sense. In yellow, it doesn't connect as easily. But we're talking about that again tomorrow
But
morning.
even like bus drivers, I would assume we wouldn't need as many bus drivers if only half the kids are coming at a time, or,
You still need
route.
14 bus routes, because
Yep.
if you cut your bus routes in half, as in the number of drivers, you're gonna double the ride time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure we want kids on buses for an hour and
we
15,
would
hour and
just
30.
have less kids on the bus.
Yeah. I mean, we can, theoretically, but I think that'd be a long bus ride.
Right. We don't want,
And you have to change your routes too, which is
Right.
not customary for kids or families. They're very accustomed to their route and their bus driver.
I think that would be super confusing once we get back to green and have
Probably
to,
would.
like, no,
Right.
not even.
Even in the yellow, we probably need more help. and-
We may.
And redirect staff to do other things that are going to be
Right.
needed, because there's going to be cleaning, sanitizing, et cetera, that's going to happen if we do something hybrid.
And what we've talked about as an administrative team is it very likely could be the case that we're in green for 15 weeks, and then we're in yellow for 2, and then we're in red for 20. Because if we're in yellow, the calculus of community spread would
Yeah.
indicate we're going from 0 cases to 17 cases to 70 cases, not 0, 17, 0.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be in yellow long. I mean, I could be wrong, but that would be the implicit that I would take from that.
Well, and I mean, we could end up with a situation like that they saw in Cumberland, where there's an outbreak that's
Right.
in, kind of into one facility, and you see a whole bunch of rising cases of positive cases due to contact tracing, where it's not necessarily that community spread, where you would in fact see an exponential increase of community spread. That didn't happen within days, the numbers were back down. So we could end up going back to that
Good.
green model within a couple of weeks.
I stopped making predictions on how it's all going to
Yeah.
go back in March. It's been hard to know where the ball's going, so to speak. So I will bring back to you specifics in regards to whether it be insurance or furloughing or unemployment or pay, all of your options, if you will. And if you're not comfortable in taking action in October, you won't. And we'll get that in November. But at least have the information. There's no harm in that.
Yeah,
So I'll bring that to you then.
sounds good.
Yeah, I would think the sooner the better, since.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're done with the information items, the action items. The first one is a bright star in our community and area, and that's our donations.
Donations to the district. The Amery Lions Club, through their golf fundraiser in early August, and many of the folks in the room took part in that, I know. They have donated 75% of their earnings from that gathering of $7,456.94. And this is their 11th time through, and they've been gracious enough to donate to the district the last 2 times, the Angel Fund the last 2 of those 3 times. That goes directly to kids, split up between 4 buildings, and we have kids in need now more than ever based on what's happened here in the last 6 months. There are folks that are out of work. So Angel Fund donation would be the first. The second donation to the Angel Fund was a person or a couple that golfed on that day, and they actually hit me up right on the golf course and said, we would like to make a donation. I'm not sure what, but can I give you a call? So on that day, having a conversation with Michael and Mary Masterson, they donated $3,000 to the Angel Fund as well. So in one golf outing, we had some $10,000 donated to our kids. That's what our community is. I can say with certainty, I know that I played with Brad, Andy, and I know that Josh was out there, Orly was out there. We made a healthy donation of balls to the golf course over the course of that 4 hours of our life. Jeff was out there too. He didn't hit any in the woods though. Okay, well, get it out of the way. All right, donation of school supplies. Wisconsin Credit Union donated $231 to the district for the purchase of school supplies. Special thank you to Jim Richardson for coordinating this donation. The donations continue. Because There's No Place Like Home donated school supplies to children of their staff and to the schools they attend. Thank you for that gift. Donation of 3M hooks, 1,500 of them. Hooks to be used in lockers, classrooms for students to store their face coverings. Thank you to Ashley Emerson for coordinating this donation. And I think there's a couple more here. Faith Family Church has donated $250 to the district to use for COVID expenses, so thank you for their support. Mass donation, Diane Amons, Joe Everson, Marilyn Swanson, Our Savior's Lutheran, and Janessa Hall coordinated that mass donation. And we thank everyone for their kindness and their generosity and support of our kids here in the school district of Amery.
Yes, they deserve a standing ovation.
There we go. All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah, big question. That's the part that makes us great.
It certainly is.
Wonderful.
And I would like to take a motion to accept those donations.
So moved?
Second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposition.
I hope not.
I hope not, no way. Thank you much.
That's awesome.
Now we'll go on to the DPI waivers.
The Department of Public Instruction here in Wisconsin has sought to make a few things more flexible for school districts. They have put together what's referred to as the COVID-19 Regulatory Flexibility Framework Provisions. It couldn't be a short title. It wouldn't be DPI if it was short. There's probably, I didn't add them up, 150 possible options to opt out of. We only opted out of some of them because many of them were simply not applicable. I mean, things such as you're opting out of counseling services or you're not doing reading instruction, things that we're going to do. We don't need to opt out of those things. But many of them we need some flexibility on. So what you'll see here is a brief presentation of the items we did opt out of. And what I mean by opt out, we're applying for a waiver so we can opt out of them if we choose. If we still do them, there's no harm in that. But if we can't for some reason, we have the option to opt out. The first step in the process is a public hearing. This board meeting serves that purpose. The second step is to fill out the paperwork, which won't be as fun, and we'll take care of that in the district office and we'll get that all sent in. So the first of the bunch is an attendance waiver. It allows you to count attendance for students that are in person, virtual, or remote. So that gives us some flexibility because we have kids in all three of those categories. So we can count them for our people count no matter where they're located. In the past, you wouldn't be able to do that so freely. And you can ask questions at any point in time. If I don't hear from you, I'm just going to keep rattling them off, so to speak. Drills, fire drills, tornado drills, safety drills, all can be modified for the safety of students. It's probably ill-advised to pack all of our kids in together in the middle of April to do a tornado drill when we're trying to keep them apart, or to have them all gather outside after a fire drill that we've practiced many times. So we have an option to waive those and do those in a different way. We'll still do them, just differently. Educator Effectiveness. This is their teacher evaluation process. These are all the things that Educator Effectiveness tells you you need to do. We can opt out of any of these provisions. Orientation for summary teachers, evaluator certification and ongoing calibration, summary year self-reviews, annual student school learning objective plans, professional practice goals, beginning, mid, and end of year conferences, and 6 mini observations. Our logic is this. We have an administrative team of 6 strong, 5 of which are doing evaluations of teachers, and we have COVID-19 happening at the same time. So what we're going to do is pool our efforts on our new hires and not necessarily evaluate this year our every third year teachers, because it could very well be you're evaluating someone on this year that's been here for 32 years and probably doesn't need as much help. We'll push everyone back 1 year other than the new staff, and we're doing that because there's only so much time on the day. And these folks that are sitting here don't have enough time to do teacher evaluation and COVID at the same time. So that's why we're applying for the waiver, to do some of that differently. The length of day and hours of instruction. My guess is every school system in the state of Wisconsin is applying for this one. You can change the length of your day. And you can also opt out of the minimum number of hours that you need to achieve in each of the buildings. We very well may meet our targets in this area, but we might not. If we go remote, I don't know that we would. So we have the option to opt out. We've technically opted out of this once. This would be an option to opt out of it a second time. And this simply came after the first one did.
We already did.
We already opted out of minutes once, so we are
We
good
already
to go.
changed our length of day. We lengthened it for the pickup.
Or
and
for our
drop-off.
staff, we did, but for
Yeah.
counting of instructional minutes, we have
Right.
not.
Yeah.
We're always over. We always make sure we're over. And if the middle and high school are over, we're always over because elementary and intermediate need less.
Yeah.
Licensure, this simply gives you flexibility with staff. Any teacher, administrator, or pupil services professional can, with a license, can serve as a short-term substitute in any subject at any grade level. So in essence, that means if you have a license, we can put you anywhere to instruct that we need to put you. It might come to that, I don't know. But this gives us the option to do that. We certainly want reading teachers to teach reading. I mean, no offense to any other area, but the reading teachers are probably going to be better at it. So that's an option for us if we need to do that. Open enrollment. A pupil open enrolled into a non-resident school district has all the rights and privileges of resident students or pupils. If the school district offers a virtual instruction program in response to concerns under the current pandemic, the school district must offer the same. This waiver allows district to educate students from other districts in a virtual platform. You didn't necessarily have to put them on in the past, but if they're coming from another district, we have that option to do that now. And some of that action is happening. Pupil count days, students can be counted for district's pupil count regardless of the school setting. So you can count them no matter where they're located in your pupil count. And that pupil count actually is happening right now. School and child nutrition programs. This is what allowed us to have our students eat free, we hope, till the end of the school year or close to it. So this waiver that we chose to opt into already has paid dividends for us, and Stacy's taken care of the paperwork on that already.
And this is just to the end of the calendar year, correct? Not the
Calendar
end of
year.
the school year.
Yeah.
And maybe not all the way to the end of the calendar year, but at least some of that time, which is great. School day milk program, school districts may request a waiver from the school day milk program's requirement to provide milk every day school is in session. This simply gives us the option not to do that. We are doing it, but it gives us the option not to if we didn't have the ability to do that. And last one is transportation. School bus ridership determines our pupil transportation aid. This waiver simply allows us to do that count whenever we want to, because in the past you had to do it on a specific day or during a specific week. So now we can do that at any time, because our ridership is dramatically changed based on what we're trying to do here, and so is everybody else's.
Yep. Yep.
So those are the waivers, and this would be an action item that you would need to give your go-ahead on.
Make a motion that we approve the waivers as presented.
Is there a second? Dale? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? That's passed. Jeff?
Nope.
Nope, we're just doing the teacher, substitute teacher pay.
Okay, you'll see on the screen or before you in the handout, a sampling of CISA 11 schools. Our current subrate is 116. This is ranked from most to least. This is approximately 25 of the 39 schools in the CISA. The proposal on the next page is threefold. We could increase the you could leave a 116 as it is. So actually it's fourfold, leave it as is. The first option would be to increase it to 125, the second option 130, and the third option 135. And the budget increase you'll see there in that last column, the half-day rate is simply half of that amount. To make it easy to understand, half of the amount makes sense to me. So we could do one of those four things. The last time we increased this was about 3-4 years ago. We want to remain competitive with neighboring districts because they do play scorecard a little bit with that. They're going to obviously go for similar work where they're getting paid more. That would be predictable. So it's up to you how you want to move on that.
We can revisit this again, right? I mean,
Absolutely, anytime we want.
I just, not that I would be opposed to raising this to, I think, my personal preference would be 125, which seems to be kind of minimal given the options there, but when you're looking at a year of this year, where we may see an increase of having to hire substitutes and what kind of impact that's gonna have on the budget versus a normal year, I just can't see that we're gonna end up with a normal year of substitute teacher monies. I just
Sure.
see a huge
I-
increase this year.
I understand your point. Let me walk through how those budget increase numbers were determined. What Twyla did was she simply took the number of absences that occurred and subs were used for 2019 and 2020 and multiplied it by $9 more or $14 more or $19 more. It's probably accurate to say we will not use as many subs for things such as field trips and in-services and professional development, but we might on the back end use it for COVID. That's possible. But I'd say, if I was a betting man, that it would be less subs, so this number would be less in total. Can't say that for sure, though.
I don't know, I would suggest going at least with option one, which would put us comparable to our neighboring districts. And maybe, down the road, we look at it again, but I think a $9 increase would be reasonable.
Any thoughts, Aaron?
Well, we do want to encourage people to sub in the district, and to be on our sub list and to want to take that job, when it comes through, because again, I don't know how our list looks, but it seems like you're always looking for subs and.
Yeah, our sub list has been rather short thus far. But we'll always have things such as benchmark testing, which we'll need 3 or 4 subs for at the elementary or intermediate. That's a given. But we don't have as many subs for things such as field trips, if any, right now. The subs that we have are maternity leave subs, or testing, or in some cases, a staff person that's out sick.
Right.
It's not a long list right now. The sub list in certain years at certain days could run 20, 25 deep. Right now, they're 6 to 8 at the most.
And I think the people that we sub, that do sub here, of course, we would like more, but like Dale said, I think that 125 would put us up in the ballpark of being competitive with everybody else very close geographically to us, other than Hudson, but still Hudson's even 35, 40 minutes away, and I'm not sure that anybody's going to drive 35, 40 minutes longer, which would translate to an hour and a half to 2 hours longer for maybe, an extra $75 maybe, but I don't think that we end up with a lot of competition for Hudson subs anyway. So.
Our competition is immediate competition, Clear Lake, Clayton, Turtle Lake,
Yeah.
Richmond, Osceola. That's typically
Yep.
who we're competing with, not Hudson.
Maybe St. Croix Falls, and they're down at 105, and so
Yep, maybe.
I think that 125 would put us right where everybody else is.
If that's what you'd
Financially,
like,
it would be appealing, I guess.
if that's what you'd like to do, that would be an action item you need to take.
Yep. If there is a motion.
I
for
would make a motion that we select option one, substitute pay rate of $125 a day.
I'd second that.
that.
Can I just ask, will this take effect immediately?
We would start paying accordingly at 125 now that you've taken action.
Okay.
Yep.
Simply need to let the right people know so things are bookkeeped correctly.
Okay.
Anyone else? All those in favor of increasing our sub pay to 125 and the half day to 62.50, say aye.
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 And opposed? None? There we go.
Thank you.
And now it's Jeff's turn. No, he's on the phone.
I'm texting Pam right now to let her know $125.
What are you going to sub in the district or what? It's always something with you, Jeff. I think we should definitely put him in 4K or kindergarten.
Talking false spectator, we have a PowerPoint presentation here, but I was just looking through my phone too at the activity scheduler. Tomorrow, I think, is the Super Bowl of athletics for middle school. I think we got a little bit of everything. We have 15 sports schedules, I believe, going right now. They all need game workers. They all need officials, just like substitutes. It hasn't been as easy to fill those positions, so people have really stepped up. in a huge way. And it's awesome to see the kids come in the building for the academics, and it's awesome to see them after school competing and whatnot. So we're doing the best we can. We can roll through this. You guys already aware of this, but cross country, golf, and tennis, we're not restricting spectators simply because we don't believe we need to. Naturally, they socially distance, and that's been consistent across the Middle Border Conference. As athletic directors, we're on the same page. St. Croix County, Polk County, Pierce County, they're under a different guideline. But we've tried to remain consistent, not restricting spectators here for these three sports. Football, soccer, volleyball. Football and soccer, they're in an outdoor contained area. We're monitoring everything inside the fence. And football and soccer, each family gets 4 tickets per player on the roster. So, I'll give an example. Our football team, I believe, they have 37 athletes right now. Each player gets 4 tickets. If you have multiple kids in a family, you still just get the 4 tickets for that. And then volleyball is 2 tickets per player on the roster. Those kids can go to the C team game, or the parents or whoever has those tickets can go to the C team game, the JV, and the varsity. So you may play the JV game at 5:45. You can stay and watch the varsity. We've had a couple home volleyball events, indoor events. I don't know if you guys have tuned in on the We Are Amery. One area that looks a little concerning, I would say from my standpoint, is our student section. We are allowing our home students. Those kids do get to eat lunch every day together. Their masks are off during that time. They are sitting every other seat. They're doing a great job of being masked up in the student section. I love to see their enthusiasm. But I don't know how you control social distancing with students in a sporting event. If you would like to help with that, we would absolutely welcome you to this Friday's football game to help out. But that's currently where we're at.
I think Shar would actually be pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think Shar could speak up in that situation and take control there. And they would listen.
Yeah, pick me.
Or else. So I think it's gone pretty well so far. We had our first home soccer game tonight. We did live stream it. We're doing as much as we can to make sure everybody can tune in. There are people sitting outside the gates. They're pulling their vehicles up at a football game. They are socially distanced out there, but I just tell people we're going to focus on what happens inside those gates. Face coverings, indoor events, they are required. Outdoor events, they're required to get in to the facility. Once they are in the facility, we encourage them to have them on. To be truthful, we've had several outdoor events. For the most part, from what I'm seeing, is people are taking their face coverings off at those outdoor events. A lot of times they're sitting within their family, they're outside. But that's honestly what I'm seeing from my perspective. Again, they are encouraged to wear them if they cannot socially distance outside. They are mandatory inside. Student sections, we can have outdoor and indoor student sections. They are simply just our students. The opposing team is not allowed a student section. There is no admission for the students or for the adults. We simply have these pretty sweet highlighted tickets that are laminated. They're big time. They got their name on them. They come through the gate. We're not dealing with money back and forth there. So student sections have been very positive thus far. We're live streaming. Man, we're trying to live. Melissa Hansen did an awesome job. 90 minutes play-by-play for soccer tonight. There were 9 goals total in the event, but that's a long time to hear yourself talking. She did an awesome job for the first time up. Lynette Wentz ran the camera. Tracy Hendrickson, you stop in her office, it's like a mini IT department right now. There's like 3 iPads in there, multiple stands. She's coming and going all the time. I know she was at doing some fall festival stuff this weekend too with the coronation and whatnot. So she's doing a fabulous job and really spearheading this during this time. So we've been lucky that we've had people step up. Again, if you want to be a voice of the Warriors, come talk to us. We're all ears. We love to mix it up. We even love timeout interviews, halftime interviews, whatever you got, we'll take it. So that's been very positive thus far. The hardest part's going to be trying to get to all the different events. We're trying to give every event a little love, but it is what it is for now. that's it. We're trying to stay in the green and keep this thing rolling. If you guys aren't familiar, there's schools like Prescott that just shut down volleyball for 2 weeks. So it's a real deal. It's on the 24th. We're missing out on a game with Prescott. Hopefully we can reschedule that, but our kids are doing an amazing job doing their part.
Prescott and Ellsworth are mandated by the county not to have spectators, not by the district.
Yes.
The county is weighed in on that, Pierce
Now
County.
it's getting a little chippy because they're allowing their own parents in, but the opposing parents can't come in. So I get a few emails and a few phone calls regarding that, but it's the world we're living in right now.
And St.
So-
Croix Falls is not allowing visitors, spectators in, and that was met with some resistance there too.
Yep. It has been nice that 5 schools between the St. Croix County and Polk County and the Middle Border Conference were all on the same page. Prescott and Ellsworth are kind of on their own island right now, but they're dealing with maybe a little different issue in terms of numbers and cases and things like that.
Questions for Jeff?
You think it's chippy now? Wait till wrestling season and Ellsworth won't let anybody in.
Yes.
Soon enough.
Do you think wrestling is going to be a possibility?
I think all sports are on the table. We're having questions about what schedules look like. Do I think we're going to have events where we're traveling to Green Bay and the Northern Badge where we're packing gyms and we got teams from all over the state? And no, I don't think that will happen. But a simple duel, we're going to see what we can do. But we're kind of just waiting right now and seeing what the fall brings. And, you know, I don't know if you saw it today, but Minnesota reversed their decision for volleyball and football. They are starting volleyball and football in the state of Minnesota as of September 28th, I believe. So it's ever changing, but I'm hopeful. Kids are working their tails off and prepping for those seasons. So, but I'm optimistic, baby.
Can you, just because I'm unaware, we're playing football games, but they're scrimmages, not really games, or?
They all are counting towards the Middle Border Conference Championship.
They are, okay.
There most likely will not be any type of postseason.
Okay.
If there is, it'll be regionally based.
Okay, so this last Friday's game, was that a scrimmage?
That was technically a scrimmage like we would have any other year after the first week and a half of practice.
Okay.
So this is officially week 1,
Okay.
which originally was homecoming.
Okay.
But we have pushed that off just to get acquainted with the school year and have some time to prep for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
If they develop, you know, I've heard now the rapid COVID test. So are we going to bring that into play into some of these sporting events, like, you know, when you talk wrestling or something like that?
That's a whole nother level of involvement. If we get
Sad to say it, though.
if we get to that point, we're going to have Polk County Health, our medical community, our conference, everyone's going to weigh in on that. I'm not sure how we even do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that looks like. I would love to have that if our kids could compete and make it a much more safe environment. But, you know, I think the Division I colleges, the big money colleges are getting access to that right now. We're on a little different level where we're at. But
We don't pay our kids enough for that.
no, we don't.
We don't pay them at all.
We only have a few kids on a full ride.
But as more get involved, and hopefully the tests are quicker.
Maybe.
And more readily available.
And, you know, we're struggling. I mean, I shouldn't say struggling, but we're having staff members and kids going out, receiving those COVID tests, and it's not always, it's taking a little longer than 24 to 48 hours. And the hospitals and clinics are doing the best they can. But we got some work to do if we want to do that before every practice.
Yep, hopefully everyone's just stay safe.
Correct, yep.
That makes it work. I'm looking for a motion for accepting the fall athletic spectacular and spectator.
It is spectacular. It is spectacular, Keith, you're right.
It's all about the mask.
It is, you're right, you are completely right. I will go ahead and move that we accept the fall athletics spectacular spectator admission plan.
Very well said.
Second.
Cool.
Thank you.
I think Dale beat her again.
You guys are like right on.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. Thank you, Jeff. Next is personnel action.
Okay, we have new employment contracts and athletic contracts for clubhouse teacher Jessica Anderson and clubhouse teacher Megan Marcon. We have resignations. Jessica Anderson, 7th grade boys basketball, Levi Bussey. Academic and behavior support paraeducator Lisa Inlow, and retirement for Kathy Hayden, clubhouse teacher.
You have another one up on the screen also.
Yeah, there was a Sophia Porter for Clubhouse.
Sophia Porter, I can't see that from here.
She's
It's
a new
not.
employee for
New employee, this is good. So we'll need a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion, we accept the personnel action.
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Good. I think now we will go back into closed session. We still had some discussions going on, so I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll move to adjourn open session and reconvene into closed session.
Second.
Okay? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we're in closed. Thank you much, everyone.